Hi, Steve Bassett. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Laura. It's great to be here.
So, you have been mapping the Hermit's Peak and Calf Canyon fire. I've been seeing your maps every day. I was wondering if we could start with where do you get your data and how are you putting these together?
Yeah, I've been mapping using data provided by the U.S. Forest Service. The daily progression maps that I've been posting online incorporate infrared flight data. So each evening, the Forest Service or its contractors fly over the fires, and the hot spots and the perimeter of the fire is easily mappable from that heat data. And so they upload it to a server, and then it typically sits there until a public information officer has time to develop it into a format that works for the public. And with the skills that I have and kind of the desperation I was feeling, I went out and grabbed that data and did something with it to get some more information out and into the public hands. And showing this daily progression, the daily growth, communicates a lot of the information that people need when they're thinking about these fires. Is my watershed burning? Is my community burning? Where is the fire headed? What are the fuels in front of it? And to be able to provide that map using that authoritative data has just been helped me feel less helpless and feel like I'm helping
Yeah.
during this catastrophe.
Yeah, I've really appreciated looking at your maps every morning. Like you said, you're showing how the fire is moving, where it's moving, and the thing that I've really appreciated is you lay out those numbers every morning of how much the fire grew the previous day. Um, I know the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon fire now has been burning since April. It's big, it's complex, but I'm curious if there are a few things maybe within the past week that have really jumped out at you about its progression or its behavior.
First, I want to acknowledge the tremendous job that the incident command team and all the firefighters have, all the effort that they've put into shaping the way this fire spreads and protecting our communities, watersheds. Um, the mapping is kind of incidental to that, but I'm glad to be able to provide that. Um, they Anyway, hats off to those folks and those communities. The biggest patterns that I've seen in these data lately have been fire spreading more to the west into the Pecos Wilderness, but also to the north. The just the trends in the wind patterns have been relatively erratic. That we don't know where this fire is going to burn. Its perimeter is huge, so anywhere that there's active burning within that perimeter, it has the potential to spread, usually pushed by the wind. I'll share the map from this morning. Today's or yesterday's growth is the darkest red, and it was a really great day relative to the preceding weeks. Just over 1,600 acres burned yesterday, so the increased humidities really helped with that. You can see a dashed line representing the boundary of the Pecos Wilderness. It's starting to get a foothold over there. Uh, Lots of continuous fuels for it to burn through. But this growth to the northwest has been kind of the most extreme growth recently. Some of these larger areas from past wind events, past extreme red flag days, were really shocking. The scale of the fire spread within a day. These darker grays are where the fire was almost 2 weeks ago, over 2 weeks ago, as it made some big runs towards these communities, um, through and towards these communities. So we've seen moderation of fire behavior since then, but still a lot of potential out there for growth.
Yeah, there was one day last week, I recall you posting one of the maps, and the previous day there had been like 30,000 acres of growth. I mean, that just seems devastating and remarkable. So when we look at a fire perimeter map like that, I like your maps because they kind of show the changes over time. But when we look at a map like that, does that mean that there's fire burning or that a fire has burned within that entire perimeter? Or are there pockets within there that maybe haven't burned or are have been burned past?
So within a perimeter like that, there will be varying levels of fire intensity and burn severity. And I'm going to share a satellite image. So this is a false color satellite imagery of the Calf Canyon fire from May 13th. And some of the notable elements are the flaming front showing up in orange, the brightest orange colors, the smoke visible. You can see the darkest burned areas here in purple. They would show up black if we were up in a satellite looking down. But with the false color, different bands that we can't see, infrared made visible, they show up as this deep purple. You can see a mosaic of burn severities in some parts of the fire, but other areas it's all purple. And those are the places where tree mortality is going to be very high. And on a huge map like this of this huge fire, those patches look relatively small, but some of them are miles across in both, all directions. More recently, we've been seeing high severity fire just about everywhere, no low severity fire, but I imagine it's still happening out there on the ground. We're looking forward to doing some additional analysis to look at the effects of forest restoration treatments and the kind of patterns within that burn severity.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. What do we know about forest treatments in the area that has already burned or the areas where it's moving? Do we have a sense of what is on the ground there?
Yeah, I don't have a map of those treatments, but there's a great map produced by folks at Highlands University. They have an interactive map viewer. The New Mexico Forest and Watershed Restoration Institute has produced a map that shows the overlay of the current fire perimeter and all the treatments that have happened to date. There have been a number of them, but probably not to a degree where it altered the trajectory of the fire on a landscape scale. Maybe locally protected resources and preserved some of the habitat and ecosystem health of those areas.
So as you've been paying attention to this, and of course this week, this particular fire, the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon fire, surpassed the Whitewater Baldy fire in size. Are there particular, as you've been watching and mapping, are there certain things that have surprised you, or is this kind of acting like a fire would act in our climate changed world?
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't been surprised. As we're looking at the extent of the drying and the wind, this is the type of fire that happens under those conditions. The continuity of fuels, once a fire starts, there's very little stopping it in this landscape. I've got a context map here that just shows it's continuous forest, virtually, all the way to Colorado and beyond, where we're seeing the three active fires in northern New Mexico: Cerro Pelado, Calf Canyon, Hermit's Peak, and Cook's Peak. There's very little. There's few burn scars. The Vivash fire certainly offers some fuel alteration, but it's an old enough fire scar that the fire is burning through it. There's been a few fires north of the current fire perimeter, but very continuous fuels over a large area, very little to break up the spread of fire.
Well, thank you, Steve Bassett, for joining me. I really appreciate your maps, which, like you mentioned, are coming from the official sources of data, but you're putting them up there in really helpful ways. So thank you.
Thank you, Laura.